Hey guys, what's going on? ZeroArmada here with some Titanfall gameplay. Arms Dealer episode 3 will be out tomorrow, hopefully. Planning on doing some bolt action rifle gameplay because that was obviously requested a lot. Had a lot of stuff I had to take care of in real life today, so I kind of had no time to really get any gameplay together. So you guys are stuck with some Titanfall gameplay. I'm sorry about that. But two things I want to talk about. First off, I will be streaming today 8 a.m. Pacific time till about noon Pacific time on the Rise Up Gaming channel, twitch.tv/riseupgaming. They are doing a fundraiser for the Multiple Sclerosis Research Institute, and I'll be helping out with that cause. So definitely, if you have the time, definitely come out, show your support. I would really appreciate it, and then hopefully I see you guys there. Second thing I want to talk about is pertaining to ESL EU. Registration cutoffs for a pilot tournament are later today. This tournament basically will gauge the interest of EU as a whole in terms of their competitive interest and kind of desire for a competitive league on the EU server. So definitely, if you have a clan in the EU section or you want to help out, definitely sign up for that and show your support. I really think that EU players definitely deserve a league of their own, and I think this is probably a step in the right direction ultimately. Kind of problem is there's been a lot of discussion, heated arguments about this whole issue though with the ESL tournament for the EU section. I was approached by a couple of prominent EU players asking for my support. I guess you can consider them friends, but sometimes we butt heads more than act like friends, so it's kind of an on and off relationship. But I declined to participate. Obviously, I'm making this video to show my support for the actual cause, and like I said, I'd love nothing more to see an EU league show up, and I think ESL EU is the perfect entity for that. But a couple arguments and a couple things from a personal standpoint I feel are not fair for me to show my support, or for NA players as a whole to show their support for ESL in terms of participating in the tournament. I was pretty much called selfish, wanting the game to die, don't care about the competitive community. Pretty much I was throwing a lot of things in my face because I declined to participate. First off, I'm a US West player. I get like 250 ping on EU servers. I literally warp every step I take. And obviously there's players with 300 ping, 400 ping that still play the game and do it on a daily basis. That's great. I'm not one of those people. And kind of the argument was, well, EU players play on the East server all the time. Like I said, on West Coast, I get 100 additional ping on top of what East players get on EU servers. And I don't think that's fair to me to play in those conditions. And people are like, oh, you can just suck it up. But like I said, I'm not perfect. And I think you guys have done a good job of accepting that and appreciating that. And
Dude, I'm gonna explode.
I don't want to play on the EU servers. I never like to play on them. I lag like shit. And I think that's a valid reason for me, personally, to not play on them. And likewise, EU players were not obligated to play on the East servers for tournaments if they didn't want to. So there's a lot of back and forth stuff about that. That's more of a selfish reason for me why I don't want to participate in it. There's a couple other things I think that are kind of bigger than the whole thing though. First off, here's one real major flaw to this whole thing. By having the North American players participate in this tournament, you are artificially inflating the total interest of the EU community. So, if the EU players cannot gauge enough interest by themselves and support the league by themselves, and they need the NA players to help out, what's going to happen once those NA players stop participating in the league? ESL is going to shut down the league completely. And if the EU players can't do it themselves, and they need our help, I don't think that's going to really be fair to the NA players or for the EU players if we come and help them out and they kind of get screwed in the end because they can't sufficiently support it after the pilot tournaments, so to speak. So I think that's kind of one of the big things about it. Second off, though, we were basically promised or assured that if this works out, the North American side will get an ESL NA section, and ESL NA is completely garbage. I'd rather take MLG game battles over ESL NA. ESL NA has no bearing, no participation, and no presence at all. And I think actually Soldier Front 2 kind of participated in the EU section for a little bit for their North American players, and they actually got banned out of the EU section and didn't even want to make an NA section because no one really, like I said, no one wants to be in the ESL NA. So I think there's a lot of moving pieces to this whole situation at hand. From an NA standpoint, MLG is probably the best bet for us because, first off, Zombie has the connections with MLG. They know the people there. Garrettson's good friends with Sundance, who's from MLG. And MLG will also be on the PS4, which obviously Zombie is putting like 300% of the resources towards. So if MLG is going to be on the PS4 and MLG is going to be on the NA side of PC, I think that's probably the best bet from a North American standpoint of getting a good league. So, obviously, I think there's just, like I said, there's a lot that goes into this. I hope ESL EU does thrive, and I hope EU players do get a good league that they can self-sufficiently support. But I think asking NA players to help out is not going to really help them get what they want in the end. And that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, there's a lot of different things that people want to talk about. Most of the major NA clans are not actually participating in the EU tournament, with some of those reasons at hand and their own personal reasons. But I think really it's best to have it as an open discussion. If you have any questions or comments about it, leave them down below. We'll probably have a follow-up video about this whole situation. But ultimately, I'm doing what I can to help out. Like I said, I implore you, if you're an EU player, to definitely help out your fellow players and your fellow community members for the EU side and put in the support. But I think that's pretty much it for this video. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of ironic, and I guess it's kind of not, because we've been talking about the community and the competitive aspect as a whole, but here I am kind of saying I'm not going to help out and participate in this whole thing from playing in the tournament. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them down below, and thank you for watching as always, guys. Much appreciated.